Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all, huh? All right, let's get it home. You can see she's a little tired. Even warm, it doesn't really want to start. All right, we're back, and the F100 is behind us. So that was that was exciting. The oil looks terrible. I felt really bad for running it at all, so not gonna run it very much. Just enough to putter around with it and get it parked out at the house. Definitely in need of a tune-up. Definitely has massive exhaust leaks. I don't know if it's at the heads or on the downpipe coming out of the manifolds or what, but it's yeah, it's definitely got some leaks. Transmission pulled up the trailer just fine. It's definitely not power steering, and it was sitting downhill, and the tires are a little low, and I forgot what manual steering is like in a truck. There's a reason that steering wheel's so freaking big. Oh man. I think it's a total time warp. Let's see if it'll pull itself off the trailer now. Transmission felt good.
You think you will start back up and things?
Yeah. Get some strapped up there.
This is just about incredible. Casey knows Corey, and this is like.
I'm really well known.
I'm really well known.
I get that from my dad. I'm not shy.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, it's just cool. They're all.
Yeah.
You wouldn't imagine.
What was that, a dog dish? What was that? Oh, right. That thing's junk anyway. That's not going back on there. That hold down nut didn't even hold the thing down. It was just sitting there. The nut on top of the air cleaner, it never actually tightened the air cleaner up. It just was sitting there.
Yeah, I grew up. My house is approximately 25 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep. My dad used to live just down the road here to the right. The deputy, John Deputy,
Oh, my God, yeah.
they lived just down the road here.
Oh, you know Brandon then?
Yeah.
I worked with Brandon for like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I know them all. I grew up with all them guys. Me and Brandon used to race together when he's raised.
Yeah, he did. He tried to get it ready. See, his plan, the whole plan was that he bought this thing for his daughter to go on graduation. And it happened before she even got to go on graduation. So he did.
Oh, this is part of the door damage.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
This was all.
So that crumpled that whole cowl right there.
Yeah.
So that's the only real damage that's not a panel. Everything else. Yeah, fender needs realigned. That one needs pulled out. But it's not bad. Oh, hell no.
Oh, I know. It's just nuts. I know. The bed. Even the bed is.
My grandfather used to just live out here.
Oh, really?
That's where the whole Davis clan lives.
The clan.
Yeah, they're bunch of drones. That's all they are out there. If it tells you anything, one of the cousins of my dad built a bar. Took a trailer and put it next to his trailer and cut a hole in the side of it and put a bar in.
Sounds about right.
They like it here.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about a little bar. It takes up like the whole living room.
Really?
Everything's all muddy and dirty. I usually let my buddies use my trailer for all my side to side.
This is a hell of a deal right there. Hell of a truck.
I knew when I seen you pulling in there. I knew it because I remember when I worked at the junkyard just coming in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember.
Bring it into the junkyard. This guy brought it into the junkyard.
You know that bought it. He was bringing it up. JR is one of the sons of Jesse.
Right.
He had it on the back of his rollback. And somebody called me, one of them. So they just basically what JR does, take it back around and of course, like this. So the truck was completely just types it, they just wheel it on there and they give him so much money for it.
200, 500, yeah.
Oh yeah. So you charge like
people were
100,
gonna give
just
this thing
200
up.
bucks to pick it up, and then
They were going to give this thing up. That's amazing, isn't it?
Well, if it wasn't a sold to a quick automatic, this would have been Jesse's garage. I don't know if you've ever seen his garage, but he's got a builder who built this with Ford and his semis.
he probably would have snagged this one up,
It's
dude.
completely full, restored.
We just got lucky that I happened to be on Facebook that night, and it's just like the first thing that popped up in the feed. I was like, oh, what's this? It's probably not around here.
I was on it within 10 minutes. We were looking. I've been looking for a long time.
See if we go. Make sure I don't do the same trick with the door over there. I brought that in case we need to spray the curb, but. Alright. Damn, this seat doesn't go back any further, does it? Tight fit in here, boss. Almost title. It's down at least a Oh man. Right back, you got the ramp down? No power brakes either, man. Everybody, that oil looks like food, though. Did you see the oil? Oh, it's bad. I don't know what this It smells like any, actually. It's low. It doesn't smell burner either.
Yeah, good.
That's fine, man.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. It actually goes in here now. It's awesome.
Yeah, wow. But it might just be totally.
I think what we got is, I think it's coming right out of the van. It sounds to me like the noise is all behind the van.
Oh, I know. It's just, I am really, to get something this old, 50-some years old, and not have it rusty, not have it real rust. Yeah. And to have a original paint, we're not going to have much at all.
That's factory fire.
This is nuts.
Yeah, down in the headlight buckets. Tell us this is paint.
It's nuts.
Yeah, we got a little bit of rot down at the radiator core there. That's not hard to fix. Look at that. Just a little bit down in here.
What's the point? A little wrong?
Tell you what. We leave the little areas like that for now, but eventually, this thing will need absolutely nothing. And it's,
Put something on it that will stop the rust, and that's it. And, you know, I'm glad that we were able to pull it off. I've got something
It's a fucking truck, it's just like super cool, right? I mean,
yes. This, I like I say, first and foremost, I wanted it, but I never thought that there would be a chance in hell that we'd ever find one.
Oh boy, I got some paper. Hey, you wanna take this?
Where is it?
That thing was talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, cool.
I'm getting factory radio.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
No joke.
It's like I say, it's going to clean up so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, some of that Neverdol. Bring some Neverdol cloth across this, dude.
Mhm.
That might come right back.
No, I bet you want to. You know what I'm going to plan on doing is like on Saturday or whenever you're going to be out here Saturday, Sunday, I'll come out and spend a couple hours and I'll start detailing. I'll start set it in here, run women to a whole lot of movement, and man,
Right.
bunch for just cleaning. You know, it's going to take hours of cleaning. You know, you can do one of these, put a steering wheel wrap around it.
Yeah.
You know, toothbrushes and brushes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is drain that oil
Oh yeah,
so I can move it around and not be worried about
yeah.
washing bearings out or anything. That oil is foul. It's really bad.
Get some coolant in it, some water.
Yeah, get some water, get some coolant in it. Definitely coolant, not water. And change the oil a couple times to make sure it's flushed out. Then I won't feel so bad about moving it around.
Yeah.
Right now, I really don't want to move it very much.
No.
That oil's nasty.
Yeah, no, it's just pumping through there. And
Yeah.
it's going to get more shit out of it.
Yep.
All right, I'll back my car up here, man.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, let me get a picture of the VIN tag on that so I can do some research. Okay, so now that it's back home, I have a chance to look it over. I've actually spent a couple days working on getting it running a little better. Still not running great. Did a compression check this morning and things don't look hot. But we'll see. It's, you know, it hasn't been driven daily, or at least it hasn't been tagged since 2000. That's 21 years, man. This is not original paint. Thought it might be based on the initial pictures and talking with the guy, but it's clearly not original. You can see where they've taped over places. You can see where they've gone over the strikers and stuff. And there is a little bit of a difference in the color too. But they did do a good job matching the factory color. So let's go over the good parts. Good parts, not terribly rotted. I think there might be a little bit of Bondo back in here somewhere, but it is, you know, if there is any, it's very minimal. I think there might be some right here. Yep, a little bit right there. They got a little filler. So there's a little bit down in that quarter. Overall, though, the thing is just super solid. There's some rot right here. See if my finger will get it to focus. Up underneath the drip rail for the roof. The moldings are complete. This side of the truck is actually really complete. And it's actually pretty straight. Not too bad. Not too bad. We got some grill's kind of mangled up, and you know, it's definitely not cherry, but you know, for the price, who can argue? Still getting the hang of this, doing this one-handed. 292 Y block. It's been a little, let's say a little neglected. I think it probably had a good owner at one point in its life. I pulled the valve covers this morning, adjusted the valves, and it wasn't real sludgy in there, but it was rusty from the head gasket issue that was mentioned. The guy said he replaced the head gaskets, and I don't know how long ago that was, but it certainly doesn't look like it's been any time recently. And he said when he replaced them, you can see, I mean, none of this stuff looks disturbed at all. It's been like this for a while. You can actually see the surface of the head gasket right over here. And that does not look terribly new, and none of this stuff looks new at all. So the cooling system is probably in the worst shape out of all of the mechanical things in this so far I've seen. There are chunks of rust falling out of it. I just now got it to hold fluid and not pour out of a hole. I had a freeze plug go out over here right above the oil filter. You can see it up there. Yeah, see the shiny brass guy? So that's a new freeze plug. The oil pressure switch was disconnected. That does work, and the light does work. I think this freeze plug here has been replaced. I'm not pulling fuel from the tank right now to run it. I'm pulling it from an auxiliary tank. So there was a coolant leak there. There was a leak on this tube right here that goes back to the transmission cooler. And then after I disconnected that, I still had leaks back up underneath. Yeah, right up there. That's where that coolant line I just pointed to, that's where that one comes down from. So the tube runs up the block and back this way, comes through this cooler. I guess it's kind of like a tiny heat exchanger maybe. And it runs up and back to the other side of the block on this tube here. Both of those were rotted, so I ended up just bypassing that. The transmission seems to do fine. I've only had it in first gear, but it gets in and out of gear real easily. Freeze plug again on this side. Freeze plug there. You can see that's where I bypassed that hose. Runs over to the cooler and back. And then the heater core has a leak too. And so I bypassed the heater core up here, and I put in a T just to flush. Because the coolant in this is absolute trash. I don't know if there's any pressure in it. It's still a little bit warm right now. But it's just probably been water for decades. And when I pulled out the freeze plug on this side, it was just completely, like, taking pockets of rust and crap out of it. So the oil was milky. I drained the oil, cleaned it, or put new oil in a filter. The stuff that was coming out was just gross. It was terrible. And right now, after my compression readings, I'm not too sure what's going to happen with this thing. I was getting about 60 to 70 psi cold. I mean, dead cold. Hadn't been started at all, but still, like, super low. So, I've got some ignition components coming. I'm gonna give it a tune-up. Already adjusted the valves. Gonna rebuild the carb, give it a full tune-up with good quality ignition components, and then we'll see if it can be ignition related. And if not, then we're gonna do a leak down test and figure out where we're losing compression. Is it in the valves, rings? What is it? Doesn't burn much oil, and it seems like the oil now is staying pretty dry. Here's the breather, no condensation in there. we're starting to, yeah, I think it's starting to dry out. Let's take a look here. Looks pretty good. The stuff coming out of it was gray. It looked like milk. So I consider that an improvement. So right now it's a focus on getting the engine to run decently. I can get to, you know, putt around and move. I've messed with the timing back and forth. I've messed with the mixture screws back and forth. Put a new coil on it. Cleaned up the plug wires, but I still think it's just either generally worn or it's just got some stuck rings or something, because it's just not happy. Hard to start when it's cold and misfires a bunch when it's warm. So let's take a look. So that's the engine side. Transmission, you know, fluid looks fine. And then we'll take a look at the body on this other side. But transmission fluid is low, but it's not showing any on the dipstick right now. There's some in there though. I'm just sitting on a hill, so it's not gonna read very well. There's some in there. Okay, body-wise, we've got the molding here in the bed to complete this. Now what happened was, it rolled and the door got caught. The original door, which we still have, got caught, and then this buckled this entire area here. So this is the worst part of the whole truck, body-wise, because this repair was, I mean, clearly is not like legit. It's you know, good enough to make it look like it is not entirely crumpled, but it's, you know, bad. You can see the gap. It's just terrible right there. And then that edge is obviously just crinkled. But the fender, in pretty good shape. And like I said, the body is like actually quite straight in this thing. Even this side, you got a little dent down in the bed. There's some waviness in there, dents. Nothing major though. Everything is solid. Like, it's not even, this is actually extremely rare for this area for it to be like this too. Like, this is not all rotted out. This thing has been somewhat babied for part of its life, so it's quite encouraging. And we getting some rot down in here. It's just starting to form. But you look up underneath, I mean, this thing is not chunky. I mean, you know, there's a little bit of, there's some surface rust on the floors, but even the floors are like not in need of any terrible repair. There's, this body mount looks a little chunky. Most of it's surface rust though. It's not perfect by any means, but it is pretty complete. And I mean, even the e-brake cables are still in there. No muffler, just a straight pipe. Brake lines have been done. Of course, they weren't done right. They didn't follow the factory routing, but they have been replaced. Hubcaps don't match. We've got at least two different kinds. You got this Ford logo here. And we got this Ford logo here. And that one there. And that one there. And this tire, excuse me, this tire loses air. Tailgate is stanky down on the corners. So that'll need replaced. Some of this trim is a little messed up. I mean, it's in need of quite a bit of work. The bed is solid though. I mean, when I say quite a lot of work, it could be way worse. It could be way worse. Like, way worse. This thing was definitely kept inside somewhere for a good portion of its life. Great platform to start with, really. Here's the replacement door that's real sticky. It's actually smacking into the striker over here. Do something about that. Windows falling out of the track. Typical, you know, stuff from 1964. Here we go. Here's the... That's got a fuel and a temp. And then just idiot lights. The two idiot lights here do work. Yep, got a blinker on that side. No blinker indicator on this side that's working. I hooked up the temp gauge. It actually does work. And I think it's a live temp gauge because it's moving still. Haven't tried the wipers yet. I don't want to scratch up the windshield, so I'm not going to do it. Some of the lights work. Rear lights work. The cigarette lighter does not work. I believe this is the heater control. Heat on and off. And that valve is up front disconnected. And I think the cables froze. Choke does work. You pull it like a third of the way and it opens up the throttle and chokes it a hair. The fan does work in both modes. They did this though. It looks like they did that too. I don't think that's a factory cutout. It looks like a hand job. You know what I mean. I do have the ashtray. It's in the back. But the panels are nice on this door. But, you know, this side of the truck is really nice. The headliner's in decent shape. We got some mousies up in here, so that's going to have to be taken care of. But look at this, dude. The molding is still intact. The seats, or the seat, is just like still fantastic. That has to have been reupholstered. The original floor mat, I think, will probably keep for the most part. The idea with this is just to do a revival, so, you know, we're not going to get crazy with it, but we're going to make it run and drive nice. Probably put power disc brakes on it, at least discs, if not power disc. Clean it up, do some touch up in areas that it needs it, and the major repair will be the door, obviously. Yeah, it just needs a thorough cleaning and some TLC. Needs a lot of TLC, but it doesn't, you know, it'll be a driver. Let's start it up. So it's warm right now, and this is a neutral to start truck. So, yeah, run her into neutral. I don't know if you can see the indicator there. All right. I believe that's park, or that's reverse. There's neutral. Okay. Let's see if she'll start for us. You can see she's a little tired. Even warm, it doesn't really want to start. Looking good. Got oil pressure. You can hear it missing. Got an exhaust leak here, and a big one there, probably one down there, maybe at the head. I don't know, it someone put in a GM alternator. You like that? Look at that bracket just hanging there. It's not even bolted on the backside. It's like 2 bolts holding that on. So someone has done away with the voltage regulator and put in a GM regulated one. A lot of stuff's been moved around back here. We got some wiring going on there. We got some messy stuff over here. Looks like someone has done some stuff here. The ground for the lights was just not hooked up at all. It was just sitting here, so they don't have to be hooked up. If I shove it in there and I can get the lights to come on. So, let's give it a rev. Why not? Sounds like shit. No. There she is, 1964 F100. When I say they don't make them like they used to, this is definitely a prime example of that. What a beautiful, beautiful truck. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. This one's going to take a while.